So we're back for a second episode of adding fractions. This time we're adding fractions that have unlike or different denominators. So notice that we have 1/2 with a denominator of 2 and 3/4 with a denominator of 4. Now the reason why we can't add these together is we're describing things with different sizes. So if we look at our first fraction, we have one whole that's divided into 2 pieces. But if we look at our second fraction, we have one whole that's divided into 4 pieces. And in order to add together 2 fractions, the number of pieces in a whole has to be the same. Notice, however, that if we divide each of our halves in half, we now have 4 in total. What this means mathematically is we're taking everything and multiplying it by 2. So we have a new fraction, 2 over 1, 2 times 1, which is 2, over 2 times 2, which is 4. So by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by a number that turns 2 into 4, we've now created a common denominator. Now, if we shade in 2 of our fourths over here and 3 of our fourths over here, we'll see that if we draw a new picture, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fourths. So this one only has 4 fourths in it. So I need a new square, also divided into 4 parts, with 1 more shaded in. So this gives us, well, first, do this mathematically. 2 plus 3 is 5 over 4, which our picture helps clearly show us that we can write this as the mixed number 1 and 1/4. The nice thing about this example is that 4 is a multiple of 2. So it's really easy to find that common denominator. But let's do an example where that isn't the case. Let's say we want to add 1/2 plus 1/3. So if we think of this as a square that's divided into 2 parts, and then a square that's been divided into 3 parts, they're all different sizes. So we have to figure out how can we create a common denominator. If we look at the numbers, it would be nice if we could just multiply everything on the left fraction by 3 and everything on the right fraction by 2, because 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3. So that would give us a new common denominator. In fact, if we write it underneath, we would have 3 over 6 plus 2 over 6. But what does this actually look like? Well, it's quite simple. On the left, we're taking each half and dividing it into 3 parts. And on the right, we're taking each third and dividing it in half. And when we do that, we end up with a common denominator because our whole is now divided into 6 equal parts. So let's finish this addition. On the left side, we have 3 6, and on the right side, we have 2 6. So if we add them all together, we have 5 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's our answer. So there's a couple different ways to create a common denominator when our fractions don't initially have one. But it usually, in fact, it always means multiplying one or both fractions by the same number on the numerator and denominator so that we end up with the denominator being the same for both of them. So this has been a couple examples of how to add fractions with unlike denominators.